So welcome, Greg. What is the NASDAQ Private Market?
The NASDAQ Private Market is a online capital market for private companies and a provider of a series of equity management solutions.
So what's in it for the companies that are listed on the platform?
Sure. So companies come to the NASDAQ Private Market in order to remain private companies but get access to a large number of institutional investors, but in a very controlled way.
Okay, so how is that different to some of the solutions already out there, just raising money from investors one-on-one or going public?
Sure. Well, those are two different comparison points. So compared to, let's say, the traditional way of for companies to raise money or offer liquidity while still being private, what we've done is create a truly scalable platform. So we already have, even at launch of the NASDAQ Private Market, we'll have over 40,000 registered investors, many of which are institutional, family offices, et cetera. And so if you compare that to the traditional private placement model for raising capital, the company, maybe a handful of board members or VCs that support them, go out to their personal relationships. And even the best of executives and VCs can't compare in terms of the number of investors they can plug into the company to what an online platform can.
Is there a question of kind of quality and quantity of investors? So the people that purchase shares on the NASDAQ Private Market, they have to be accredited, right?
They do, and in order for these transactions to be legal, we need to make sure that everyone's an accredited investor. But in addition to that, what we enable companies to do is really understand what investors are coming to them over the platform and to be able to screen them. So a company could say to us, or from their dashboard, they could set it so that only institutions that meet their particular criteria are able to see any information or transact in their shares on the platform.
And can companies choose to do share issues as well as facilitate the trading of shares that have already been issued?
They can. So we bring investors. Investors are primarily there to get exposure to particular exciting companies, and whether they're buying shares from the secondary market or investing in a primary capital raise, they're equally happy.
And which European companies have signaled interest so far?
So I can't talk about which European companies that we've lined up because it is a private marketplace. And so companies that come to the NPM activate their, what we call a private company portal, but we're very focused on supporting those companies with the people that they reach out to and bring to their market, rather than putting them, for example, on the cover of our webpage or in news stories and broadcasting their involvement.
But there are, I think, at least 5 companies and possibly 2 from Europe?
We would expect, yeah, at least that.
Is there a German company that you think could be a good fit?
Well, there's many German companies that we think would be a good fit, and I think the use case for German companies is everything that we've talked about so far. But one of the things that, as we've talked to German and other European companies, is the access to non-European investors. So the ability to efficiently talk to American investors, potentially, who are maybe understand their story particularly well, or maybe can be a little bit more aggressive with the valuations that they're willing to pay. That making those connections across the Atlantic seemed like to be very helpful to many European companies.
What about the types of companies that will be able to list? Is there a limit on how much revenue they must be making, what stage they're at?
Sure. Yes, so we spent a lot of time thinking through different membership standards, and so the way we've arranged it is the multiple tests, any one of which a company needs to pass in order to be on the platform. And so, for example, in terms of valuation or market cap, we're looking for companies at that $100 million market cap or larger. Or alternatively, if they have a venture capital sponsor, that would also suffice to bring them on the platform. So we are looking to serve, in our minds, somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 private, primarily technology-based growth companies, and so we think we've designed the membership standards to be quite inclusive.
Okay. Do you think that this could in any way contribute to a bubble around startups?
So we don't really work so much with startups, right? So we're looking at those sort of larger companies, and so the reason why I don't think it would support a bubble in startups is that on the NASDAQ Private Market, at the point of transaction, both buyer and seller have access to a minimum amount of financial information. So unlike sort of previous incarnations of some of these platforms where there was an asymmetry of information, we've spent a lot of time thinking through what was learned there and creating a system where there's enough information that hopefully bubbles don't get created.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.